Good afternoon. I'm Daniel Miller, and this is the Video Gaming News. A warm welcome to all of our friends, fans, community members, participants, and everyone watching us on various platforms worldwide. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for supporting my channel and everything we do here, which also includes our charitable fundraising. Presently, I'm raising funds for a British-based charity called Mind Charity UK, as it is known on Twitter. And this is a charity that helps people or provides services for people who are experiencing some form of mental health difficulty. And they operate from various offices countrywide, usually in high streets, and they're serviced by volunteers and professionals delivering counselling on individual and group level, providing any other form of practical advice related to threat of homelessness, difficulties in obtaining benefits, or anything else that really is plaguing some of our most vulnerable community members. So remember, if you are coming to this channel, go to my About page, click on the panels indicating that we are doing charitable fundraiser, and then get all the information about Mind, Tiltify, myself. Provide us with some donations, and if you're not in position to donate, you can always just simply spread the word. You know, take the link, place it on your Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, anywhere, and just raise the bar for the charity and for everything that we do here. All of that will be greatly appreciated by everybody at Mind, and most importantly by their service users. So, how is everybody doing today? It's been a really kind of a very wet, unpleasant, misty, dreary, you know, the usual wet type of Sunday here in my local area. It's a bank holiday weekend. Lots of people up and about yesterday, but I guess the rain today just really hampered the efforts, and I'm not sure what's going to be happening tomorrow. They had some celebs around the town organised. It's the usual thing in England, you know, when you have a bank holiday weekend, there's a bit of live music, a bit of entertainment. Usually on Saturdays and Sundays, some on Monday, but you know, generally it's the weekend that's stretched, and people try to take advantage of that extra day off. For all of you on the continent, you probably will not be familiar with this, but we have not very many bank holidays in the course of the year. 2 or 3 of them are attached to Easter and Christmas, and then the rest is just spread throughout the year. So people really eagerly wait for, you know, that extra day off in order to be able to relax. It's different for others who are self-employed, of course, but you know, 9-to-5ers and people working for big companies 5 days a week always look forward to that extra hour in which they can spend a bit more time with their family members or go for some picnics and, you know, do some nice things. And in my local area, there are lots of families, and I'm always delighted, I guess, contrasted to central London, to see so many younger people walk around with children, going to playgrounds, going to some sports, doing swimming, doing football, cricket, you know, you name it. Lots of sporty people in my neighborhood, and it's so great to see. I think in a big city like London or our global capitals, we kind of tend to forget what family life is like. It's all about what we call rat race, getting up early, trying to get to work in time, working long hours, working hard, getting back home, quickly going to bed, getting up again. You know, it's a huge machinery which does take a heavy toll on some people on the longer run, particularly if they're dedicated city professionals or in very responsible jobs. And you know, it's nice to see that some people actually can get some free time and spend a few more hours with their children and with their relatives. Nice to see people sitting in pubs and going out for meals, Sunday roasts in particular. And in my area, we have a couple of pubs that serve really very traditional kind of Sunday dinners here, English way, and that has been greatly appreciated by very many of our local inhabitants, as the big pubs, the ones belonging to breweries, just phase them. You know, they don't have any more Sunday roasts for some reason, and that's been kind of seen as really not particularly good, and they felt that the pubs were not really observing the needs of the local community. But there are some small ones run by families, the old style pubs that are having that sort of dinner on offer every Sunday. It's not cheap, I've got to say, but it is definitely providing you with very, very good portions, and it's a very nice family atmosphere. One of them, called the Millstream, is very well known in the local areas. People actually come from other towns from Hertfordshire, and they always have a very nice meal, a very nice Sunday afternoon out, which is what everyone should have. I didn't have much of that today, I've got to say. I have been out a bit, but due to that rain and drizzle and everything else, I've been hampered somewhat. And then there's been a lot of work done on the news, and I've been working on various podcasts, which I will be recording within the next couple of weeks. We still have to finish the last episode of Bungie's Masterpiece, and How Bungie Made Destiny. So that the third installment will be recorded this week. So watch this space for more, and you can watch it live or just hit it on playback. And then I have some other themes. I'm not going to tell you today what they are, but I have been working quite a bit on them. It will be very interesting to go back in time and observe some of the other masterpieces, other games, and have in-depth discussions on the evolution of video gaming and what's happened in the last 10 years, what actually made video gaming such a popular activity, the most popular activity amongst many people around the world, ending up with a figure of 4 billion of gamers, people who are accessing video games every single day around the globe. That really is eye-watering type of figure. I never thought I would live long enough to see that, and it's become even more embraced by many community members, particularly those of the older generation, to the games that are offering educational content. So people really enjoy. I've seen some wonderful streams, I've got to say, on YouTube and Twitter that were presented by people who are in their 70s or in the early 80s, and they really kind of like the games like Elder Scrolls Online, Fallout 76. I guess Destiny is a bit too fast for them. The games that have that very big community spirit attached to them, and always with the need for a helping hand to be provided somewhere in the wild. And I remember actually when I went to Elder Scrolls Online first, this was just after they released the game. Any time I went in, there'd be like half a dozen people coming and saying, "Do you want some help? Do you want to join us?" And that's great to see. I think anyone who is of an advanced age coming into that sort of forum will say, "Hang on a minute, that's extraordinary. I used to have that when I was young out there with my friends, and today I have it here on my laptop or my console, my computer, my PC." And there's one granny in particular who is very, very popular. She's one of the top Elder Scrolls Online streamers. So just have a look on YouTube. You'll get her archive videos, and you'll definitely greatly enjoy them. So I'll be exploring the influences, the reasons behind that, and also I'll be telling you a bit about what I see is the next stage within the video gaming industry, and that's the merger of video gaming with film, and the capacity for the film industry to develop interactive movies, something that's been tried in video gaming several times and never really worked out in full. But this was at the stage where the gaming was not as advanced as it is today, and as we've seen in the course of last week with the release of Hellblade, which is one of the best interactive films ever made, and certainly many people say the game that looks the best amongst everything that Xbox and Microsoft have ever grabbed over the years. So, the best looking, the most beautiful game that's very highly playable without any sort of technical glitches, and so immersive, so in depth with the environment, with the lead character, with all overall activities, with the narrative through which the story and the legends are being told. And I think all these things will be unraveling in the near future as we see twofold, threefold development. On one hand, we have the big companies publicly stating that the exclusive releases are no longer an option, and they want to share the titles and make monies and revenues together. And then the other, even more significant one, is in terms of the overall cross-platform save and cross-platform access, so that the games will be accessible on any platform, anywhere, by anyone. That is like a goal. It's certainly the ideal that Phil Spencer has been giving us for some time. It will take a bit of investment and a bit of time for that to be made possible. Maybe not for every single game, but if do set up new standards for the industry, then there will be a clear expectation for the publishers to enable that for the games that are coming out. It'll be your new normal, in the same way as you would have, for instance, cinema screens enabling surround sound or Dolby Atmos, Dolby Pro Logic, depending on what stage of exhibitor's development you were looking at. Because I remember when they introduced Dolby Stereo first, very few screens would have had it. But in due course, every one of the screens was having this as something of a necessity in order to draw attention from the crowds and to gather audiences. And it's just the way things are. It's a bit like mass production. When you start producing 2 or 3 cars, they're very expensive. When you have 2 or 3 million cars produced, then obviously the prices drop. So it goes together with the way things develop in an industry anywhere. And I see that certainly as the new direction, which is going to be bringing in many more people to the gaming world. And also it will create a greater diversity. We have already very many titles and different types of games offered and provided, as you've seen, from the quirky little one-man made indie developers, indie titles, to very big AAA blockbusters where you have a studio of 500 to 700 people working on every segment of the game. And, it's exciting. I have to say that the time's really exciting. And I remember when I was a young film enthusiast, a young film critic, that was many, many years ago, before I got into psychology and psychiatry and everything else. I just really read some of the old magazines from, let's say, the late 20s, early 1930s. And in the 20s, they had a lot of hype about big stars, which would be created and built in Hollywood in particular. And, the magazines were having articles, interviews with people like Paula Negri or Greta Garbo, Gloria Swanson, Joan Crawford, these kinds of actresses that were budding on horizon, and quite a few of them were managing to retain the status in the industry, like, for instance, Lillian Gish and Mary Pickford. But with the development of the talkies, sound pictures, not many of them survived. And you had a big swing from basically creating these massive big cinematic stars and them being given an enormous amount of exposure. They swung towards those actors and actresses who were able to sing, dance, talk, had beautiful voices, looked elegant, and the new generation would have sprung up. On the other hand, you had a major development within the industry where studios began to develop in a very, very big assembly line style fashion. You had a huge number of newcomers coming in and becoming fully integrated within the studio structure, and then the production, the films just kept coming. And there was this buzz, there was this energy about something new, something popular that was so easily accessible. Films and cinema at that time were quite cheap entertainment. So in America, you had, I think it was about 120 million people watching films every single week in picture palaces and flea pits nationwide. There's a huge number of people. 1930s had the biggest attendance in history, and it was just an exciting period. Also represented in press, in magazines, and the way things were reported. All of that was really something I picked up after I went to the BFI library and some other film archives from Europe, and I managed to get some interesting magazines and periodicals and publications from that era that indicated that huge energy, huge enthusiasm and excitement that many people shared. Well, I feel exactly the same today. I have to say, every morning I wake up and with huge excitement I go through my Twitter feed. On Twitter I have all the in the know hubs representing video game industry, and they produce an enormous amount of information every single day, and that includes also Sundays. I really staggered, like on Sunday I get news coming in from IGN, from Games Radar, from all the other platform, Eurogamer, and then also I get many coming from our community. And one of the activities, well, two activities that are very popular in addition to streaming games have been cosplay. You've seen cosplayers, and these are people who are creating the costumes made on the characters or modeled on the characters from various games, and then doing their own streams, either by doing just chatting, engaging the community members and being like Tifa from Final Fantasy, or Bangalore from Apex, or Zavala from Destiny. and they'll just chit chat, and with the costume they'll draw a huge amount of attention. On the other hand, you do have streamers who are streaming Baldur's Gate, Final Fantasy, dressed up like the characters from the title, and that's also exciting. So that's great. I get lots of these feeds, and lots of these people want to join my community, so send me friend requests. If you were to see people that I'm kind of following on Twitter and Instagram, you see very many of those, and they really are trying to cash up on as much traffic, as many followers as possible, and I really support the effort. Doesn't really matter what the content is. I just think it's very brave for any of those cosplayers. The vast majority of those cosplayers are women, I have to say, which is again very brave, considering that they have to be revealing something of themselves, they have to create their own costumes, they have to invest time in the production of these. And I've got to say that there are a few in there that are really absolutely staggering. They really have unbelievable quality through their content creation, and most importantly through the creation of the costumes. They design and create everything by themselves, and there's one girl from Russia, then there's another one from Scotland, and a third one from, like literally spread out throughout the world. But I gotta say, on the continent, they have some really absolutely serious, staggering cosplayers in France, Belgium, Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, Russia. Very many, very, very good ones, who take up the position of a cosplayer very seriously, and they do really a very good job when they create the costumes that are really almost identical to what you've seen in the actual title that you would have been playing live online elsewhere on your console or PC. And so that's one very popular activity in addition to gaming and streaming live games. Then the other is virtual photography, and I still have to say I'm mesmerized by the quantity of pictures which are modeled on Cyberpunk. I don't remember seeing, maybe Elder Scrolls to a degree at one stage, but Cyberpunk today rule Twitter and Instagram with cosplay, and has so many different characters. People take photographs of real people, and then they use Photoshop and various other editing tools in order to make them look like something from Cyberpunk. Some people will take also screenshots, but generally they kind of push them as if they were screenshots, but really they're photographs that have been touched up and manipulated through various editing tools, and they come across as really incredible. And I have quite a few of those guys really within my community. I'm staggered by the quality of the illustrations. Honestly, it is incredible. It's a combination of people who illustrate by themselves and those who are using various PC tools, but one way or the other, it is just a very, very high quality content that you can access at any time, really, through some of those social networking platforms. And please do provide them some help, some love and care. Do offer them some support. To create like one image that is manually drawn will take very many hours, irrespective of a person's talents and ability. It will take a long time, and there's no way through which they will be able to raise huge revenue. But receiving nice comments of support and receiving likes and shares and follows will be enhancing the creativity and make them happy and content, and it will obviously drive them towards future projects and further illustrations. So very important to engage, to accept the invitations, or indeed just to invite them to join your community and support all of their creative works. So all of that together, so that's streaming games, be it the games which are single player, multiplayer, or from the live service, whatever, on Twitch and YouTube. Then you have some people doing mobile games as well, also streaming them. Then you have cosplayers, and then you have virtual photography. So there's different types of content creation, and all of that is something that's evolved during the last, say, 5 to 10 years in a way which has never previously been seen in history. The way I see it is creative industries are providing a lot more opportunity for those individuals to be fully integrated. But then, as we've talked during the last couple of weeks, there are threats and liabilities, and some people get employed by big developers as illustrators or graphic designers, and then quickly, they impose cuts and those people fall out. But at the same time, what's essential is for everyone to hold on to their creative stimuli, the fact that you are creative, you're able to produce something that's remarkable. And, talked yesterday about Destiny and all that's been given to us by Bungie. The amount of imagery, the amount of detail invested in every single weapon, every single bit of armor, every character every part of Destiny background. It's just mind-boggling. It's just so many people working on this. We have got to be able to support those people's efforts, because I remember in my younger days, it was very difficult to make a living as an artist. It was impossible. Certainly very few who could do anything about it. People just had to take up menial jobs in order to support their writing or their painting skills or singing or music. When in fact, it's the same. It's pretty much the same case for musicians and actors and people involved in film industries in Britain of today. So, supporting those content creators and supporting young creative budding artists is fundamental. I've done that all my life. I worked, I could say, certainly on the both sides of the counter. I have been an artist myself initially, and I've gone down the route of becoming initially a counsellor and special education teacher, and then later clinical psychotherapist, which meant I was then providing services for those who were experiencing serious difficulties. And because I would have come from the artistic background, many people were referred to me for that reason alone. So I worked with God knows how many artists over the years, and I've seen it from both ends, Also, after I contracted the SARS virus about 15 years ago, I had to depart from my clinical work and work again back in the creative industries as the SARS virus left tissue damage, and I was really not really up to scratch to do something which is so legally responsible. And again, I've gone back to being, in this instance, the provider of different types of services for artists and being fully engaged with artistic community. I just couldn't believe the amount of difficulty, the struggles that people had to go through, and the belligerence of those who were doing other promotion for musicians or people who, just various sections of the industry that came across in Britain, certainly, as incredibly exploitative. And as I've heard similar stories coming from the US. So today we have these platforms that are offering us a lot more for everyone to be, first of all, getting exposure, and most importantly, for everyone to have a box to stand on. There's, the platforms can present their works, and sometimes the work is noticed purely by chance. Algorithms pick up somebody's artwork, and someone from any of the major developers notices it, and they're being brought in. So I think the capacity for one's own exposure had been heightened and developed to a degree not seen before, and we have got to be able to use it. Just the same way as I used to do my research at the very best libraries, like in London, the British Library, British Film Institute Library, Westminster Reference, Swiss Cottage. There were a few that I've been using continuously, but today a lot of that material can be accessed online, so you don't have to be going there physically in order to do it. And things have changed. Certain things have become a lot easier. That doesn't necessarily mean that the route through which you will pursue your own exposure is easier in any way. It's exactly the same as it was before. In some instances, it's actually more competitive and more difficult, as obviously there are many more players fully involved, as people can produce creative works by themselves without any major dependence on studios or any other people or entities who previously would have to be, they would be absolutely necessary for anything to be seen. Think about somebody writing articles. In the old days, magazines and newspapers, nothing else. Who reads magazines and newspapers today? Paper publications, hardly anybody. It's all about online, and you can create a very significant writer's profile online if you work extremely hard every single day with write-ups, blogs, podcasting, news, streams. And some people do this very successfully and they progress. Some people even live off the donations and the means to which they can support themselves. So all of that is a relatively new development, and I will talk about that in my podcast. I'll be analyzing it from every angle. Maybe I'll get some guests as well. I'll try to get people from creative industries to come in and then talk together with me, so we bring in some different perspectives. Don't forget, the new concept here on the channel is still fairly new. It's been around now for a couple of weeks, and I will need to really get it off the ground first. We need to get some degree of publicity before I start approaching the big guys. I mean, I know obviously very many of them, but we want to have some degree of communication here on the channel and through YouTube and Twitch in particular before we really engage with some of those key players. And anyone interested, I also run another entity dedicated to film industry and history of cinema, so you can just also always have a look at either of these two, one dedicated to gaming, the other to film, and you will become very knowledgeable, because I really spend a lot of time building them and providing you with the very best information. My Film Dialogue's been around for more than 10 years now, and it has a very large community of classic film fans. So a lot of people share images and thoughts and views, and it's just an incredible collection of different perspectives on history of cinema that's been around for now already 130 years or so. And it's just great to be part of that community. I remember going to cinema, always having like 3 or 4 friends with me, and the extended group of people, maybe 20, 25, but that was it. It was all based at one cinema, one film institute, one cinema, like a Cinematheque that was screening archive films, and that was it. But today, people come in from Netherlands, from Belgium, from Denmark, from Russia, from America, from, I don't know, Argentina, from Spain, France, Mexico. They all come in. They all go to their local film archives or film institutes, and they go to repertory screenings, and then they share their perspectives and views. It's just extraordinary. The other day I talked to a few people who were in Cannes, the Cannes Film Festival in France, which is legendary, and it's just incredible how things changed. The types of films they screen there, types of awards that are given, and the overall buzz that comes from a different type of audience that was previously not associated with type of event. And then read a very interesting article yesterday. In fact, I think it was through the BBC News, and the article was exploring the demise of film star, and as to why, for instance, if even you compare the position of a film star 10 years ago and today, let's take up, let's say, a couple of names. We'll say Ryan Gosling as a person who is obviously a AAA blockbuster headliner, and let's say we can think of Keira Knightley, 2 of them. It's been very difficult for them to retain that position in the industry, and the writer for the BBC indicated with the emergence of interactive media, it's all about immediate contact, and I think that's quite true. I think many people prefer contacting the musician or the painter or the artist directly than actually having that degree of distance between them. And with live music, for instance, lots of people who go and see, well, first of all, there's been a significant drop in sales of recorded material. You have obviously Katy Perry's and Taylor Swift's of this world, and individuals who are, Lady Gaga's, generating huge global domination through very great marketing campaigns, and Dua Lipa is the other. And they sell. But that's just very few. There's no more one-hit wonders, as it was the case in the 70s and the 80s. You had a band making one hit, touring the world, seeing the world, and being paid a lot of money and making a huge amount of money on royalties for that one single. That doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. But what did happen, and that's really, I guess, for myself personally, who's been involved with these scenes, creative scenes for many years, it's mind-boggling. You have an exponential rise of the prices for the live events. So I remember going to gigs in London, and I would pay like 50 pence for a gig. 150 was seen as an average price, and for the big acts you pay £5, and stadium acts would be like 8 to 10, 12.50 would be the top price in the 80s. So it was just like extraordinary that, and in those days that was considered to be, I wouldn't say extortionate, but maybe a bit pricey. Just think about it. I remember U2, with in those days would play big gigs, and their tickets would cost £12.50. I remember going to Milton Keynes Bull and watching them there, and if you were to be buying a record, right, the record would cost you £14. So buying a record at that time would be costing you a lot, I would say significantly more compared to seeing live music. Like the majority of the bands would be charging maybe £3 or £4 for you to see them, whilst the record would cost about $12.99 was the standard price, I remember. So it's a huge discrepancy. But what happened has been a reversal. You have now the big artists selling tickets for £150 to £300 per event. Like for 1 gig, you pay between £150 and £300, and the records are not that expensive. You can download them, you can purchase them at a really good price, less than £10 per download, and things have changed. But what's important, and I think for me that's quite mind-boggling, is the fact that people go to those gigs and pay that money, and they do this repeatedly. The gigs are always sold out. So the question is why? Why, when you are having such high prices? And the answer is interactivity, immediate connection, live connectivity with the artist in real time. And also lots of people who go to these gigs will pull out their phone, make clips and stories and share them on social media. It's the element of I've been there, I have seen this, I am communicating with this person. That is absent with film stars of today. And I think red carpet galas, the ones we've known in the past, had really significantly gone downhill. I have been to several in London, well, not several, very many I should say, but in recent times I've been to several that in fact should have attracted a much greater audience, and there were big red carpet galas for big AAA blockbuster films. I'm not saying there have been quite a few people there, nothing in comparison to where things were 15-20 years ago, not comparable. So these changes are evident, and I will be talking about them in my podcasts, and just watch this space for more. And as I said, I like debating these types of changes in depth. I like doing that with my guests. Frequently I do that in real life with some of my colleagues, and we are going to have a lot more of this live. And I just have to say that there are people who are not of the youngest generation and not that well versed with Discords and Skypes of this world, so it's a bit difficult to get them in. I don't like doing podcasts with telephone calls coming in because frequently they have interferences and noise and they're inaudible. It's the usual, and we just have to sort out a few things with some of the future participants for that to be made easily accessible for everyone involved, and obviously the content will be as good as always. So that's about my podcast. The big thing I need to tell you, it's two things really before we get on with the news. I will be streaming the entire selection of Destiny 2 campaigns from tomorrow, and I'll try to get through it as much as possible. So just in order for everyone to become more aligned and acquainted, or reacquainted I should say, with the story of Destiny. I talked a lot about what is to follow in my last news bulletin, and we've seen a number of very major changes applied to the structure of the way the game is run and played by every participant. So that will be very interesting to see whether the dedicated community veterans would embrace this, and whether it will be drawing the same degree of success as Bungie are expecting it. But we have seen that the new direction will be trying to make everything very useful and very craftable. In addition to that, we'll have more of the story in the whole project. There will be more of the story every single month, aligned with so-called episodes. So no more seasons, but episodes will be the regular monthly content. And I've gone through the system of Pathfinder with our community yesterday, as the Pathfinder is the new skills tree. It's replacing the seasonal content that you're getting then upon completion various rewards, which are like the seasonal ones but delivered on the monthly or daily or weekly basis. And very interesting, the concept. Somebody had spent a lot of time building it, and it's a major turnaround. It will make everything in Destiny a bit more worth it and more meaningful, and I think lengthy grinds will be giving us better rewards, which is the bottom line. And also it will ensure replayability. If you want to get certain kinds of goods, you'll have a certain system by which you are going to be able to get them on the regular basis from week to week. So coming back to what I was going to tell you is, I think it's important for our community members, and particularly people who play Destiny 1, to become a bit more acquainted with the story. And I'll do all of that in the course of the next 7 days. So that will be Monday to Sunday. And then on Sunday, I'll just switch everything off and wait for the final shape to arrive. Funshare will be divided into two different sections. So one lot is going to be playable by everyone, and the system and the structure will be visible straight away to every participant. And then there'll be the other side, a bit like what we had with the recent seasonal content. You will have activities, particularly the campaign and anything affiliated, that will have to be done through the campaign, i.e. the campaign will have to be purchased. So very welcoming for everyone, and I think a very good way through which new people can come in and experience it and then purchase the new DLC. But I've got to tell you, the new DLC is not cheap. If I'm not mistaken, it costs about $70, so it's very, very pricey for what it is. And we're just, very excited and hoping to see that all that's been predicted and given to us will be as good as described. And so I will be doing the campaign playthrough or replay or whatever walkthrough in the course of this week, and that will be on my regular Twitch streams. So I'll go back to the regular Twitch streams from this week. I have struggled somewhat with my times and schedules, and I think this is a very good way, a very good week for the old concept to be brought back, for everyone to rejoin us and enjoy the activities and everything else that we have here in this beautiful Bungie's masterpiece. The other thing to tell you, this free weekend have been preceded by a lot of Warhammer presentations, and if you're familiar, they talked about Space Marine for some time. The game is going to be launched through Xbox. I think it's going to be also available on Game Pass Day 1. So in view of the presentations coming from the studio, they had given us not 1 or 2 but 9 titles to try for the next, I think it is 5 days, 6 days. Altogether it's about 8 days. And everyone can download it through Microsoft Store. 9 titles, and they vary, from PoE games through the ones which are turn-based strategy ones, and a lot of activity, great graphics, and you'll become very familiar with the overall Warhammer series, and you'll be able to take your own decision whether you like it or not. I don't remember at any stage any developer offering that many titles free of charge, albeit for a rather short period of time. But it's a good way through which you can every day try one game. It's 9 days, 9 games. Every day you try one of them. You don't have to play everything until the end. Certainly some of the titles will grab you, the other ones perhaps will be not as appealing, but that is the best possible way to get to know what Warhammer is like. And prior to the release of Space Marine, which I have to say looks awesome, and they also had released the animated theme that can be downloaded or used on Xbox Series S and X. I use them all the time. In fact, I changed my Cyberpunk one to Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. Also looks very good. You have the smoke rising around the head. It just looks a bit dead dark. Much prefer bright colors on my big screen, but nevertheless, as I'm playing Senua, seems to be most appropriate. Right, coming back to what I was describing earlier. So you have free play for all these games, 9 titles until, if I'm not mistaken, next Friday. Right, so make sure if you're on Microsoft Game Pass PC, if you're on Xbox Series X or S, to download all the titles and show some appreciation to the studio for offering it to us for free. It's just wonderful. And I wish other developers would do exactly the same. I always download everything which is offered for free, and that's because I want to indicate to the developers and publishers that I actually want to use these services. I find it to be the best, and many times when I tried a game like that, and if I liked it, I purchased it. And any of those offers, like the 9 titles offered in the course of this week, they are offered on very, very reduced prices through Microsoft Store and Xbox. You'll get them on 75-80% discount. So if you're interested, that's the way to do it. Try it and then purchase it. And even if you don't play it straight away, just keep it in your account and it will be there forever. You can always come back to it. I mean, sometimes there are games that I come back to after 5 or 6 or 7, 8 years. In fact, I purchased Tomb Raider Ultimate Edition. I think it was about 6-7 years ago, and I've just gone back to it the other day as it's returned to the Game Pass in its ultimate format. And it's just, I was reminded of the fact that I indeed bought the game a little while back for nothing. It was just a couple of quid. And the game's amazing. Just was like unearthing something from your vault, you know, and you forgot about it and you suddenly discovered it, and it's just really, really enjoyable. So keep it in mind. Yeah, so I think these are the news I want to tell you related to Destiny and my podcasts and Destiny streams here on the channel, and they'll start tomorrow, so you'll be able to join in. I'll see what length they will be, but probably within the range of 4 to 5 hours. And we'll have them consistently throughout the week for everyone to come in, and it will help also our charitable fundraising. All right, so let's see what we've got coming on The Wire. And I have to say, it's been very busy. Everything on The Wire is linked to the big showcase events, and they're coming from several companies, most importantly from Microsoft, then from Bungie. We also have another lot coming from Ubisoft, and we have also Summer Games Preview, which is almost like Jeff Keighley show, and all of those will be presenting us with the majority of titles that will be coming our way within the next 12 to 18 months. So one of the first big news that came a few days ago, and it's been fully confirmed, is about the new Doom title. Doom Eternal has been extremely popular. It's a very difficult game to play as well, and the new title is coming in, and it is called The Dark Ages. And this one will be featuring a medieval theme. So, you know, that looking really... bear with me, I just lost all the information. I can't understand as to why this is happening. Just, you know, just nicely laid everything out, and suddenly everything is, you know, attack. Everything disappeared. Right, so where is my piece now? I do apologize, it's just... There we are. Next Doom reported titled Doom The Dark Ages, and that comes from Tom Henderson. He is the CEO of Insider Gaming, and he said that it will be featuring a medieval theme. So the main thing is that this will become public on the 9th of June through the Xbox Showcase. And I have some more information on this as well, but that was just literally like breaking news. You've heard that Call of Duty Black Ops 6 had been already confirmed as the big game that will be presented on what was previously called Xbox Showcase Redacted. So it's not going to be redacted anymore. Now we know it's Black Ops 6, and that will be streamed immediately after the major Xbox Showcase on the 9th of June. And so I got the message from Ryan McCaffrey. He's the senior editor at IGN, and he runs Unlocked, a podcast also through the same channel, and he's questioning now, and I listened to him yesterday on his podcast. He's questioning what is the monetary system going to be like for Call of Duty and for Activision in view of this, because surely they'll be introducing a new monetizing strategy, as the game is no longer going to be offered. Well, it is theoretically, but for the majority of the gamers, if it's offered on Game Pass day one, then the vast majority of them will much prefer paying whatever is $12, $13 for the ultimate subscription, and they'll be able to jump it, play the game straight away in its entire content, compared to forking out $70, $80, $90, $150, depending on what edition you would want to purchase, and then play it in seclusion. So, you know, he's asking a very relevant question, but don't forget, they did experiment with Warzone. That was a few years ago, during the pandemic, and they had released the game. I mean, there was some discussion about it prior to the actual release, but it was kept under the wraps. We were not 100% sure what the game was going to be like, and it was offered free of charge. So nobody paid anything for Warzone in order to play. But the company made $2 billion within the first 12 months on the sales of the cosmetics alone. So just various treasure packs and gifts and all that. Everybody wanted to look funky, and, you know, importing Rambos and Leatherfaces of this world into that Call of Duty Warzone arena had been incredibly popular. So I think they probably will be looking at something similar, where the game is offered free of charge or on a subscription price, and then they'll be able to monetize from within. So definitely very interesting questions that Ryan's asking, and I'm quite curious to see how this would work. we've heard from Push Square that the Stellar Blade has now been given some updates, and there are several new outfits that are given to the gamers, and all of those are actually uncensored. You will recall there's been a big controversy about the outfits being taken out in view of how revealing they appear to be, but the new patch that has been applied, so day one patch, is the one that altered the look of Eve, and the new ones, well, the update that came up the other day is giving us 2 new extremely revealing outfits as part of its boss challenge patch. So that's what it's called, and neither of which were debated on social media prior to the update. So you'll be automatically unlocking black Kunoichi and white Kunoichi when you install the update, and then you'll have the Neuralink suit, which you'll obtain by beating all opponents in this new mode. And also you have Midsummer Alice and Midsummer Red Hood, and both of these you can purchase from Roxanne in Xeon with the patch installed. So it's very interesting that there's a whole selection of new activities coming up already, and it's been a huge success. The game's sold in a big fashion. Everyone streamed it and played it during the first couple of weeks, and there's been controversy about the appearance of the lead character, but it's all of that has just been beefing up on the hype, and a huge success for the developer. And as I said, I'm very pleased to see that the censored outfits are being brought back in through the patch, and everyone can basically toy with them. I really like the idea of making some of the characters highly craftable, with different outfits and different things introduced. It makes it very interesting and replayable, and it's particularly good for people who like taking virtual photographs. So you take lots of shots in there of in-game activity, and then you keep changing the costumes. And if you are like myself, publishing lots of these screenshots on Twitter or Facebook or any other social networking platform, you will get a lot of interest. People say, this is a really good outfit. Where did you get it? How did you get it? I really want to look like this. A bit of vanity does not really damage anyone, and it is certainly something I much support and endorse. On my Twitter, you have beautiful, I have to say, beautiful screenshots of a prismatic profile of every Guardian character in Destiny 2 with his new abilities. Right? So prismatic subclass is the one that will be highly craftable, and it's a completely new thing introduced to Destiny. It is combining the abilities that the darkness and the light will have, like the subclass abilities that you would have seen in the course of the game. So you will be in control of one and the other at the same time, and also you can exchange and combine different mods. It's a completely new system that's not been applied to Destiny previously, and it is called Prismatic Subclass. So on these slides, which I do have, and they've come from Destiny Bulletin, it's really beautiful. You got the whole description of Warlock, Hunter, and Titan, and then you can see the entire subclass tree with the way this is going to look, and how these mods and these perks are going to be applied. So definitely go to my Twitter and have a look at that. I was describing this the other day in my news bulletin, so I wouldn't like to go through it again, but I think the screenshots are so beautiful that if you simply save them to your tablet or mobile phone, you'll be able to use them on day one when the final ship is released. We've seen some stats coming in from Quantic Foundry, and they indicated that 1.7 million surveys over 9 years indicated that 67% of gamers today care less about strategic thinking and planning when playing game than the average gamer back in June 2015. In other words, they're presenting us with the facts that indicate that people are not interested as much in strategy games. I'm not sure that that's exactly relevant. I would say that strategy games and turn-based strategy types have been always a bit of a niche, and they didn't really appeal to everyone. It's a very niche market, and I think the IGN is trying to swing the overall mindset of ordinary gamers into the RPG mode. And don't forget, Microsoft are presently developing, I think, 19 or is it 21 titles that are actually big AAA RPGs. And they believe that the next stage of gaming will be cross-platform, cross-save access of single-player games that have very, very high-quality content and that will have, good narrative. Story is basically the king as far as they're concerned. They believe that battle royales of this world and the general PvP will certainly subside in terms of the overall interest in view of the current trends. So, this survey is supporting this view, but I'm not sure. I'm not really fully agreeable. I think I never ever had the gaming community based on strategy titles being very much part and parcel of the overall gaming community. Strategy games require thinking, planning, writing, constructing, strategizing. Do you know what I mean? It's not like doing Halo, Destiny, and I'm not convinced, basically. But the stats, apparently, according to what they say, indicate they've done 1.7 million surveys. That's 67% of the gamers indicated they're not that bothered. But time will tell. Alright, so let's see what else we've got. And Paul Tassi, the writer who frequently dedicates his articles to Destiny and sometimes to Diablo, said that he absolutely is loving the new season, and he says season 4 is the most addictive one, and he's giving us some screenshots of how he is beefing up his character with a variety of different abilities and loot and armor and everything, and it looks very good. I've not played Diablo as much as I should. I can't remember, it was alpha or beta, and I played a server slam before the release, and I thought these were really good. They worked well. I didn't have any major glitches or losses of data or anything of that sort. But as the game was released, I had not purchased it. It's very expensive at the time, and I had been very, very busy with my dad and his health of late when the game had been indeed introduced to the Game Pass. So it's still one of those titles which is at the very top of my list. I need to really explore it. I don't want to miss out on all the seasonal content. I like really coming in and having a look. Time has indeed not been on my side. So Ubisoft is offering Skull and Bones for free, and you are going to be able to play it for free for 7 days starting out tomorrow. That is on the 27th. The game's been talked about for quite some time, been worked on for quite a few years and delayed, I think, 2 or 3 times in the past, and it's had a very, very poor reception, not been selling, and it just didn't seem to be grabbing the gamers as expected, which is tragic. I think this game looks a bit like Sea of Thieves. You are playing these pirates and sort of traveling across the high seas, but at the same time, the in-game mechanics are more similar to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Odyssey, and the recent Assassin's Creed titles, and it requires further investigation. I did play it on day 1, and there was, I think it was a trial offered just before the release, and I remember playing it with my brother for about 3 or 4 hours. It seemed fine. It was not terribly exciting at the very beginning, but it had very recognizable elements of typical kind of Ubisoft open space explorative type of title, where you travel around and you explore different areas and you meet different characters, plenty of NPCs. It just seemed very, very smooth. So for me, the next week we'll also have that downloaded to my console. I'll definitely be trying it, and then I'll tell you a bit more about it. But Eurogamer is telling us that this indeed is being pursued at the moment, and they're giving it for free, because there'll be the release of Season 2 very shortly, and the game's not been selling. That's a big problem. And they say, the news coming from Game Rant, saying Resident Evil 9 has the potential to bring about another shift in the franchise narrative, and Ada Wong has more than earned a place as its lead. So let me just see what they're trying to tell us. Bear with me. A big tease in Resident Evil Village hints at Chris Redfield leading Resident Evil 9 in Europe, but Capcom could subvert expectations with a different protagonist, and they're speculating that Ada Wong's espionage skills and gameplay make her a worthy protagonist for mainline Resident Evil installment, as she has been a side character for far too long. So this is a speculation in view of some of the things which came out of Resident Evil Village, and I'm not buying into any of this. It's just pure rumor. But in any case, I mean, you've heard it. They're talking about it, and I think it's very unlikely that we'll get anything before the studio actually confirmed this. I told you yesterday that there will be a big the Final Shape World First Raid Race, and that will be done through Twitch drops. So if you want to be participating, make sure you sign up and register. There is a small registration procedure through which you become a participant, and then for anyone who is watching Destiny being streamed, watching the raids and doing various things, you will be rewarded by different types of emblems. And then you'll have Roots Remain emblem and Stand in Salvation one, and this is a one-off. You're not able to purchase them anywhere else, so definitely worth a shot. Register and then watch some of the streams and make sure you pick up these emblems. Okay, so we have some news coming from Destiny Bulletin saying only 10 days. Well, it's not actually no longer 10 days. It will be, let me think, today, that's 9 days. One thing you need to know about Destiny and the Final Shape is that whatever you're doing presently, whatever you are trying to finish off or polish up, make sure you do that before next Sunday, and they'll have 24-hour maintenance, so all the servers will be shut down halfway through Monday, and then there will be back to normal as the game gets launched. So don't leave it until Monday. It's from tomorrow. Make sure everything is cleaned up and completed, otherwise you will be cut short. So remember that. There's going to be a big 24-hour maintenance on Destiny servers from Monday to Tuesday of next week. That's not this week coming, but obviously between the 3rd and 4th. More news coming in from Jess Gordon of Windows Central. He says Avowed has gone to Unreal Engine 5.3 with some assistance from the Coalition and Xbox Tech. So that's really very, very good news, and I have to say I'm very pleased to hear that Avowed is being given extra investment. This is a game that we've been waiting for some time, and you know, it looked really beautiful on those presentations during the showcase event last year. We probably will get a lot more in June as Xbox start presenting us with their new titles. But it's good to see that they upped it to Unreal Engine 5.3. If I'm not mistaken, Unreal Engine 5 was used for Hellblade 2, and I just listened to a few podcasts and read some news coming from Digital Foundry. They said that game had used the engine, the new engine, to a degree like nobody else, and absolutely not a single glitch anywhere. Everything was as smooth as possible, and the game had been obviously tested and played and patched and polished in a way which is the best possible. And it'll be interesting to see whether this title Avowed is going to have exactly the same sort of quality. They are even using the newer version of Unreal, which is 5.3, and so, you know, they said that they've gone to the latest, and they had some help from Xbox's internal tech department and also from the fellow XGS studios, the Coalition. And right, so that's all I want to tell you about Avowed. There's going to be a lot more as we approach the showcase. Then we have more news coming in from GameSpot. I have to say, GameSpot did not really make me very happy last week with that incredibly backward review of Hellblade, which I thought was written by somebody who's not even played the game. And just warn you about this, if you come across, it's the only very negative review of Hellblade that is feeding into the hearts of Xbox competitors, and for no reason at all. Honestly, it's just completely ridiculous what they wrote. Anyway, they're telling us that Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 will have no microtransactions. So Saber Interactive is the company that is behind the title, and they're saying no any microtransactions in the game, and everything you pay for is purely cosmetic, which means you will be earning your in-game currency and then you will be able to use it I've heard that from other titles and other developers, and then eventually things changed. I think we all have to keep in mind that there's a big difference between games like Warzone and Apex. They're offered for free. You pay nothing. You can download them and play them at any time. So obviously, they have got to have many microtransactions there in order to get the returns, right? And I'm all in favor of it. It's down to you. It's your choice. You want to purchase some of these packs. You want to buy anything in order to look more beautiful. Of course, you can. It's down to you, to your own desire, how you want to play the game, how you want to look, and whether you want to be supporting the developer. But you're not being forced to do that. You see, this is what we had as a major problem with Bungie of late. They were offering us to purchase dungeon keys and various other items in there that were necessary in order for you to progress. And that really caused a huge amount of stir in the gaming community and did not come across as very popular. I understand, Bungie's bills are massive, and Destiny is a game that costs a lot, not just to be made, but also with maintenance and the service and everything else. But and also they suffered quite a bit during the pandemic. They had worked from home and everything was delayed, and massive losses sustained. But at the same time, taking a different direction from your original policy and making it almost like a necessity, somebody to progress, did not go down well. And I think it's a huge mistake. And obviously they've backtracked on this, and they'll have different types of systems in the future through which you'll be able to monetize in Destiny, due to huge amounts of rage coming from Destiny veterans that did adapt some of the systems. And as we've seen and heard with the final shape, we are going to be getting the structural overhaul. So let's wait and see what will come to us from Bungie next. But what's significant, I guess, for anyone who's playing Warhammer Space Marine is that there's going to be no microtransactions. And they said you will be able to play solo or with two friends in co-op. You'll have a quick rundown of the new PvE mode operations, and that will be kind of placed alongside the main campaign. And you also have a newly announced PvP mode, which I think is going to be very, very popular. And then they also said any paid DLCs will be cosmetic only. Well, I don't know. We'll have to see. The game is going to be launched on September the 9th, and it will be playable on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. So all of that is coming our way really soon. Really look forward to that. I must say the animations I've seen and the clips were really awesome, and are very much part and parcel of the Warhammer series. I have a very nice posting coming from Ubisoft, and it's all to do with Assassin's Creed. And as you know, Assassin's Creed Shadows is coming out in a little while, and they have given us several slides indicating what the special editions are going to be like. So today I received digital content of the collector's edition, and you have in here high quality statue of Noe and Yasuki, a life-size katana Suba, and then a lot more. And I've got this here. Let me just expand on the photograph. I'll be able hopefully to read this. No, it's too small letters. Small print is not really ideal for me. Basically, the way it looks like, it's a very big box. You have several statues, you have various prints, you have wall hanging, you have map, several postcards, a beautiful book, which is like a steel case book, the game itself, and I think there is like a brooch or something like that, which you can be also using. So it's a collection of various very attractive items. So don't forget, these games are very expensive. They cost anything from $150 to $90, and anyone who's really a true dedicated fan of the series will obviously go for one of those. So that's come from Ubisoft. Let's see what else we've got. Well, we heard from Hideo Kojima. I read his description the other day of Mad Max Saga Furiosa, the new film that's been released in cinemas, and he went to see it with huge excitement, wanted to see what Furiosa, the Emperor, would indeed look like as portrayed by Anya Taylor-Joy, our own, I need to say. And he said that he felt that there's one actor in there who would be the perfect lead for Metal Gear Solid. So let me just see what he said in there. Just nearly lost track of this, I have to say. For a moment I thought he was suggesting Anya Taylor-Joy to be in the film, but I think he's talking about Chris Hemsworth. Bear with me, let me see. He also called George Miller, the director of Furiosa Mad Max Saga, to be his god. He's like a godlike director, and he called the film his Bible. He's absolutely loving it. He likes the action and high adrenaline, and you know the environment in which the activity takes place. It's basically in the desert, and loads of car chases and crashes, thumps, wall-ups and everything else, and very, very good to be watched, the best possible in IMAX. I watched the original IMAX several times and it was absolutely jaw-dropping. It's absolutely incredible. So I need to do exactly the same. I'm reminded of the fact that the film's out and I need to see it next week, so need to pitch it correctly. And he loved Anya Taylor-Joy, and Chris Hemsworth said that they were absolutely terrific. And he said that he also loved two other supporting characters, Mary, Furiosa's mother, played by Charlie Fraser, and Jack, Furiosa's mentor, played by Tom Burke. So let me just see, who was he suggesting? Yeah, Tom Burke. So it wasn't Chris Hemsworth. He suggested Tom Burke to be ideal for the role of Snake. Solid Snake character from this game. And when I met Tom at the party, I asked him about it, and he told me that he was told that he looked like Snake by everyone who worked on Mad Max film, and they told him this literally from day one. And Metal Gear Solid film was in development a little while back, and the director was teasing a new type of action flick, like an action stroke espionage type of film. And the last time we heard that Oscar Isaacs was attached to the project, and he said that they were still considering what the story is going to be like. So, you know, it's a sort of project that can be, I guess, resurrected on 1 minute's notice in view of all the other successes of video games coming to TV and big screen. I think that's probably all I have for you. Let me just see. The last bit of information that's come to me is again about XDefiant and Ubisoft. And you know, this PvP shooter had massive response from the gaming community. They had more than 1 million concurrent gamers within 2.5 hours of the game's launch. So absolutely phenomenal. I also did notice on Twitch everyone who is into PvP and FPS was streaming it literally from the word go, inclusive of Shroud, I beg your pardon. And it was just really quite curious to see that the game was so popular, and I figured why. I went to watch the showcase presentation and some trailers, and I realized that XDefiant is actually importing maps from many games that Ubisoft produced in the past, inclusive of the Far Cry and Ghost Recon and not Solid Snake, but suddenly have a moment where I've got like a block. Right, so it's Far Cry, it's Ghost Recon, it is Splinter Cell, and The Division, and they have both characters and the maps imported, yet they will be fighting one another, and you have the locations that are being imported from these games, and also you have the characters and the outfits that would come from exactly the same. But for instance, if I understood that correctly, I still need to try the game, you can be your Splinter Cell operator, and you'll be emerging in a map where previously you played Far Cry. You know, it's a mixture of this. So evidently, people who like PvP, people who attach to this series, they wanted to see what this was like in a PvP environment, and that really sold very, very well. Sold in terms of the interest, because the game's offered free of charge. But there have been problems on release. The game was having some server issues. People couldn't log in and they were losing some of the scores, and they were left in the lobby for quite some time, which is very common with PvP games on release, like infinite lobby waiting periods. And then also we've heard lots of complaints come in regarding its hit registration. Well, I think this is a common problem in PvP gaming, and the hit registration sometimes is linked to some technical problems coming from the developers or the publisher's servers, but frequently it's also linked to different types of internet speeds that people have, and I'm not 100% convinced that it is always based on the problems with the server. And I've had many problems with my old internet speed where hits just didn't register. Like, for instance, if you watch my Warzone streams or my Apex, you'd see sometimes I would have a bang-on shot sniper with my sniper at a target, and you'd have like 4 or 5 shots, headshots, and the target would not even register any form of damage, yet the same target would spot me and then attack me, and I'd be killed literally with 1 bullet. So frequently you get complaints of that sort. But I think as this game has been just released and people who are complaining are professional esports tournament players, there is definitely a problem with hit registration. And they indicated that they are trying to resolve this as soon as possible. And they said that the impact of projectiles has not been as good, so the accuracy was very, very poor. And people had complained, particularly on Reddit. Reddit is a very good forum. If you're not joined that social networking platform, definitely do so, because on Reddit you have hardcore gamers and people working in the industry communicating, and really, I mean, you have sometimes really some silly comments, but overall it's in the know discussion about very important topics, and it could be used also as a guide on what is likely to be a particular trend in the industry, whether the game is embraced or not. And you will get sometimes people jumping on a bandwagon, but overall it's in-depth comments, because there's no pictures or no clips or anything. You just have articles and text written in which you can really devour whatever the complaint or the meaning of somebody's write-up really is. And I think that's all I have for you today. So that's been really quite a lot, and I have to say we are busy with the news every single day. Lots of information is coming in, and it's all aligned to this big showcase event. As you know, having something during the summer, and then prior to the kind of mid-autumn, October, come November, are the periods where we get the biggest news coming from the publishers and the developers, and that's exactly the period that we are facing. So, well, just keep them coming, and I'll be coming back telling you all about the news that are coming to my desk. Yet again, just want to remind everyone that we are doing our charitable fundraiser for Mind. Make sure you donate or support our charitable campaign by sharing the information through your social networking, Twitter, Discord, Facebook, any other. And also want to let you know that my Destiny streams will come back tomorrow. We'll start streaming Destiny 2 again in its full volume, and we'll go through the campaigns. And we'll start with Shadowkeep, carry on with Beyond Light, and then get to the Witch Queen, and then Lightfall. And then hopefully by the end of the week we'll polish off all of that campaign content, and we'll be more than ready to crack on with the final shape. So on that note, I shall wish you all a very, very good night, and I will also hope that you're playing some interesting games, and if so, just ping us a message, send us a tweet, let us know what you're doing at the moment, what your weekend was like, what you're going to be doing tomorrow on your bank holiday Monday if you're in Britain, and generally just keep healthy, keep safe and well. That's most important, and chin up, stay positive, support others, think about those who are in the need in your community, make sure you provide them with assistance if necessary, and enjoy your gaming. See you all soon. Take care.